The Lord said, my sheep don't hear my voice. What was being taught in the New Testament? It wasn't no New Testament during the time that Christ was walking around. He was teaching the Old Testament. He was teaching the commandments. Whatever he was teaching, it had to come from what we read in the Old Testament. We've been disconnected from our identity for so long that when black people teach something, we oftentimes question it, right? And that's cool, right? That's cool, but the thing is, if you're gonna question it, at least do the research behind your question. And you say they don't teach us our history, right? What is our history? Who are we? Where do we come from? You say they don't teach us our history, right? What is our history? Who are we? Where do we come from? That's true. Christ's history date back before the Christ has a lineage, forefathers too. Right. But who are we though specifically? They don't teach that. We teach that, right? Let me do Deuteronomy. Who are we? Where we come from? Because I spur bear witness with it. We live this Bible. That's how we know it's real. You can say, because a lot of people say, oh, how you know this real? How you know you come? We live it. We lived outside of this book for a long time. When we came back to this book and started living it, we saw the proof in the pudding. You understand what I'm saying? We know both sides.
You got people who say, so-called Christians, that they live in the book.
But they not.
But they didn't.
How you know if somebody live in the book though?
But they say,
go back to Sirach 37. How you know if somebody live in the book?
They say they live in the book because they skipped the whole First Testament.
Yeah, they skipped the whole First Testament and started in the middle. So you can't. How can you live the book like that? You can't.
You can't tell it.
But that's on them. The Lord said, my sheep don't hear my voice. You understand what I'm saying? So those who...
What I mean is, they skipped the whole
yeah, that's what they did. What was being taught in the New Testament? It wasn't no New Testament during the time that Christ was walking around. He was teaching the Old Testament. He was teaching the commandments. You understand what I'm saying? The New Testament wasn't written till afterwards, right? So whatever he was teaching, it had to come from what we read in the Old Testament. Give me Deuteronomy 28 real quick.
Hey, sis.
Because our history in the Bible. And I'm going to show you, hold up, before you get there, give me Job 30 and 30. Give me Job chapter 30 and verse 30, because we've been disconnected from our identity for so long, right? We've been disconnected from our identity for so long that when black people teach something, we oftentimes question it, right? And that's cool, right? That's cool, but the thing is, if you're gonna question it, at least do the research behind your questioning, right? At least open the book up and see if what we're saying is true. At least try it. You understand? Before, and that's what the scriptures say. You understand? Examine first, then place blame, right? But watch this. Read Job 30 and 30. Watch this. Read.
The book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 30. My skin is black.
My skin is what?
My skin is black upon me.
So, Job, this is a black man writing this. And when you read all throughout the scriptures, it's black men. They describe themselves as black men. Christ is described as a black man in the Bible. So, on that note, this Bible was written by our ancestors. You understand what I'm saying? Our people wrote this book. And that's what we've been disconnected from, right? Give me Deuteronomy 28. Now let's see what one of our forefathers wrote about us. Watch this, Deuteronomy 28 and 15, read.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
The Bible says if we didn't hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, what's going to happen? Read.
To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
You ever felt like you was cursed? Right. Most black men in our community felt that same way at some point in time and probably feel like that every day. You ever felt like you was cursed? Sometimes, right. I know. Yeah, I know. We all feel that way as black men. Let's see what the Bible says. Watch this. Read it again.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken.
What's some of the things we say? I can't win for losing. You know what I'm saying? Things like that, right? We say these things a lot because it's for some reason, no matter how hard we try, we just can't seem to get over that hump. No matter how hard we try, it's something always just go left. Some always get through in the game. Now, you know what I'm saying? We take a step forward and now we 2, 3, 4 steps back, right? And we feel like we cursed. Let's see what God say about that. Read it again.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So this was written thousands of years ago. And like I was just explaining to him, like we just showed him in the Bible, this was black men writing this. This black man wrote this. Our forefathers, our ancestors wrote this, right? You understand what I'm saying? So he said, if you don't keep the commandments of God, all these curses gonna come upon thee and overtake thee. You understand what I'm saying? Give me verse 16, read. But we're gonna get specific about what some of these curses are. Read.
Verse 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city.
So, cursed shall thou be in the city. Who cursed in St. Louis? Us. Go to New York. Who in the projects? You ever been to New York? You been to New York? Soon as you go across that bridge, all you see is projects. That's it. They got over 330 something project housing authorities in New York. That's crazy. That's a curse. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody else living like that. Nobody else living like that. Nobody else living like that. And guess what? Ain't no jobs around there. You might get a little fast food joint or something like that, but it's nothing in that area, in those communities, that's gonna get them out of that community. You understand what I'm saying? Why you think everybody trying to get famous and things like that? They trying to get out the damn hood. That's the only way they can think of to get out the hood, because there's nothing in our communities that's gonna get us out of this hell. You understand what I'm saying? These are curses, right? Read.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
See that? They say we're going to be cursed in the field too. Where was we cursed in the field? When we were slaves. That's a curse. Slavery is a curse. And believe it or not, that's what it said, right? Yeah. Right. And believe it or not, this ain't our first time being put in chains and being slaves. It's not our first time being slaves. We were slaves to the Arabs. Before, we were slaves over here. You know what I'm saying? We were slaves to the, right? We were slaves to the Africans. We were slaves to the Chinese people. We were slaves to the Persians, the Greeks. You understand what I'm saying? We were slaves to the Egyptians. We were slaves in damn near every empire. You understand what I'm saying? Why is that? Why did God why he keep putting us through slavery? Why he keep putting us through this? We just read it, because we didn't keep the commandments. And he didn't give us commandments to everybody. Give me that in Amos real quick, and we're going to jump back. He didn't give everybody his commandments, because he didn't create everybody to rule the earth. He only created us to rule the earth. And he gave us commandments in order to do so. But guess what? We wanted to be like everybody else. The same way today. That's why the Bible tell us not to envy our oppressors and don't choose their ways, because that's our mind. We try to be like everybody else. That's how we ended up in this situation. Right? Read. Verse 3, yeah.
The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two
start at verse 1. You know what I want. Read.
The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel.
So you're going to hear that all throughout the Bible, because that's who we are. They know that. You understand? And guess what they did? They stole our identity. You gotta think that, our identity had to be so significant, so important for them to take it. Right? They didn't do that to nobody else. They never did that to nobody else. Nobody else lost their identity but us. Everybody know who they are. They know where their homeland is, and they can go back to it. And guess what you're gonna see their people there ruling with their own government, their own army, military, economy, and all of that. We don't have that to go back to. No other race of people lost their language. We're the only people that don't have our original language and we're speaking somebody else's language. We're the only people with another race of people last name and 3 forms of ID to show it. We're the only people that go through that. We're the only people in that condition. And they still oppress us to this day. A young brother, what's his name? Ryan Hinton. Ryan Hinton just got shot in the back by the police. He was running. They shot him. Killed them. You understand what I'm saying? Why does this keep happening over and over again? Read. We're going to read Amos.
Verse 2. You only, the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 1. It is word which the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family, which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only,
you and everybody else,
you only,
the children of Israel only, read,
have I known of all the families of the earth.
See that? He said, I only knew you out of all the families of the earth. Read. Therefore, so because of that, read,
I will punish you for all your iniquity.
You see, he only know us. He only dealt with us. He only gave us his commandments. That's why he punished us. That's why he put curses on us when we disobey him. Psalms 147. He only gave us the commandments to one people. He only gave his laws to one people. And anybody that read the Bible can tell you that. It's all through the scriptures. Watch this. Psalms 147, verse 19. Watch this. Read.
The book of Psalms, chapter 147, and verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, meaning those curses, that's judgment from God for not doing what he said. Read.
They have not known them.
So no other nation was given his commandments. So no other nation was given the punishments for not keeping them. Right? You understand what I'm saying? And you probably thinking like, damn, why, you know what I'm saying? You got to think though. Think of it like this. It's like, damn, so it may sound unfair, right? That we the only ones that's going to get punished, right? But think about it like this. When you keep the commandments, who the benefits for? It's for us. You understand what I'm saying? So in the same breath that we the only ones that get judged for not keeping them, we the only ones that's going to get rewarded for keeping them. You understand what I'm saying? So God is a just God, right?
Sons of God! We're gonna take this city. We're gonna take the kingdom. We're gonna rule them hard. This is war! This is war! This is war! I'm here for the win, well, to get it again. The Lord call it taking the kingdom. Want what's mine? Taking my time, turning and taking your freedom. Risen from the ashes, after the lashes, call it a beautiful tragedy. We've been on the brink of insanity. It's the end of your days, our calamity. Adding in, grab a friend for the finale. Curtain call on a heathen. We want forever and a day. Why would the pastor lie and say it's your season? Drop a bomb on them, Hiroshima. Drop a bomb on them cause they need it. Scrub it down. down, planet need a cleaning. Vagabond